We have Charles Peak on the phone right now. We are taking his live feed there north of Little Rock. So Charles, want to ask you, just give us kind of the scenario of what just happened in the last 15 minutes.
Rock area, we could see it, and I got in position, and we had that. I had my drone up in the air, and I could see the tornado form over the Little Rock area. And as it got a little closer to me, I put the drone down and just positioned in a safe spot as it passed just a couple hundred yards to my west. And I'm now just to the south of I-40 where the path came across through here, mostly tree damage, right, at least what I can see here, right by I-40, right in front of me. As you can see, some trees hit these two vehicles. I just talked to the gentleman that in the white vehicle here. He said, he got the tornado warning. He was turned left, just trying to find a place to get to, and then the trees blocked him in front of it here, and then he was stopped, and then another tree fell on top of his car here. But everybody is okay at this location right now.
That's good to hear, Charles. Now, can you describe the meteorology of it in terms of what you saw? Did you see the tornado? What was it, blocked by the heavy rain on the rear flank downdraft? Or what did you see and what did you hear as that went by?
No, you could clearly see both on my drone and on my live shot the tornado. There was a few trees there, but you could clearly see the tornado there. It was a significant tornado, and it was not rain wrapped at that time. And then I was in a position where I had the rear flank downdraft come through pretty quickly right after it, and so then you lost visibility of it once that RFD came around.
Yeah, and in this replay of what you saw, Charles, you can see some of the debris piling,
yes.
Some of those bits being thrown up into the air and then rotating around it and out ahead of it. It's not a really well-defined condensation funnel from this point of view, but you can definitely tell that that's a tornado, especially with the debris. And then on the left-hand side, behind those two tall trees on the left side of the parking lot, that's where the heavy rain of the rear flank downdraft is coming in. So that tornado, you're looking at the supercell from the south, it's just got to be, with the inflow on the right, the tornado in the notch, and the rear flank downdraft with that heavy precipitation right behind where the tornado was, which is why we saw the whiteout conditions once the heavy rain started after the tornado went by. There's a little better indication of some of the rotation.
Dr. Knapp, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Charles.
We got the sirens going off again here. I'm not seeing anything on my radar. Are you seeing anything coming up behind me right now?
Well, the Little Rock area, especially North Little Rock, Sherwood area, and all that, is still under a tornado warning. So that may still be a manifestation of the current warning. But there is another supercell behind it that isn't warned right now. So, Charles, keep your eye to the sky and make sure you get any updates on any new warnings that might come out.
Yeah, and some of the new scans that are coming in, that's alerting cell phones again. So if you're hearing your cell phone going off multiple times, it is continuing to alert you for this tornado emergency. One thing I want to mention here, Jacksonville, you are next on the list here. You have a population of about 29,000 people that are in Jacksonville, and this is coming directly toward you. Of course, you've seen the damage, you've seen proof of this tornado, and so again, we need you to seek shelter immediately. You are still under that tornado emergency, and that's a big population right there.
Yeah, it sure looked like there was a debris ball there on the reflectivity, and then we've got the velocities here going right up 167 toward Jacksonville. Now, we're going back to live looks in the Little Rock area of damage. You can see, Colleen, a lot of damaged roofs. This is in Benton, Arkansas.
And this is right where we saw
it's the same supercell off to the southwest of Little Rock. This is in Benton, Arkansas. So, we're getting conflicting info. We're going to make sure we know where this is. So this is in Little Rock. Okay, I was right the first time, Colleen. So anyway, a highly populated area with a lot of roofs damaged or completely taken off. And in some cases, it looks like structures, a couple of those, nearly completely destroyed, with maybe one interior room. Look at that structure there on the side that's facing us. There looks like, with those yellow and white walls there's an interior room that survived, but half the structure did not. A van that's turned over, trees snapped.
Oh, this is devastating to see. We were just showing some of the video from another tornado outbreak as we were talking about how to seek shelter, how to be safe. And it was a similar situation there where we saw an interior room that was still standing. So good news, but hard to see this is something playing out today. I just saw someone walking outside of their house right now. Again, we don't know much information here out of Little Rock right now about are there any injuries? Has anyone been trapped inside their home? But gosh, you see the roofs torn off and you see those interior rooms are one of the only things left standing in some of these.
Now, Colleen, with personal safety and life safety being the number one issue today, I do want to bring up the fact, not to make people feel bad, but there is another storm right behind this one. It is not warned for tornado or severe thunderstorm, but it is probably going to come close or over the same areas with lightning. Okay, so being outside when that storm comes in is going to add some danger. So get into a vehicle, get into some structure, anything you can get into when there's lightning. I know you want to be outside surveying the damage, but there is some more weather danger coming in right behind this.
No, and a really good point to make, Dr. Knapp, because if folks are coming out, they're seeing what's happening. Of course, this has to be incredibly devastating. Can't imagine walking out and seeing what has happened in your community.
A delivery vehicle and a vehicle, a car that have been torn about and are now laying next to one another.
And then heads up, not too far behind, as you mentioned, more rain's going to be coming in. And even though that is not a warned storm right now, certainly going to be hard for these areas that have already been damaged by this supercell.
And again, you see what's a fairly wide damage path. I mean, it's several yards wide, and there are some structures again that are nearly completely destroyed. Most of them there in the bottom middle look like they lost their roofs and are just have a few walls left. Look at that row of what looks like some townhomes where all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, all lost their roofs, and a lot of debris strewn about downstream from those other 3 buildings across the parking lot, across the street from that longer row of townhomes. So a lot of significant damage, and it goes pretty far to the right here. Look at this
on the right
structure
side
way
of
on
your
the
screen
right
there.
Is that maybe a school or a church or some kind of building like that? And then you cross that street, and then there's another part of the damage path, and you can see how the trees on the left-hand side in the middle here are kind of all going in one direction. A lot of the trees are snapped off. Just a tremendous amount of damage. Now, we are dealing, Colleen, with multiple states.